There was one label that took over the West Coast during the 2010s.
Top Dog Entertainment.
TDE.
Yeah, I'm really Top Dog.
Schoolboy Q, Absol, J-Rock, TDE.
The West Coast always had some massive label bringing hip-hop to the top of the charts, starting with Eazy-E and Ruthless Records, followed by Death Row. And in the 2010s, that label was Top Dog Entertainment.
I'm from the hub city, here the Compton court building, caught a murder when his homie died. Judge caught feelings, I'm on Rosecrans chilling, right inside Best Outlet.
The label started with two rappers, and Kendrick Lamar would be the one to put TDE on the map. But it didn't start that way back when the label was founded in the 2000s by Anthony Tiffith.
You know, y'all don't see me out there too much on these stages because I'm a true exec. I like to stay behind the scenes.
Top is so in the background, this is about the only footage I can find. And when he was starting the label, he was having more success with the first rapper that he signed.
20 minutes later, Top pulled up. It's like, yo, where's such and such? Like, he left. All right, y'all want to come record? Yeah. So they hopped in the car. Heard J-Rock voice, it was over.
I was on the block, right, wasn't in my right mind. Just a young plugger, hustling, trying to get mines. Moving with the 9-double-M. Homies like, you don't really want to mess with him. Yeah.
J-Rock signed to TDE back in 2005, basically the same time as Kendrick, but Rock had the single with Lil Wayne, along with some of the other bigger singles the label had at the time.
Keeping it cheap ain't nothing. You ain't gotta like it cause the hood don't love it. You ain't gotta like it cause the hood don't love it.
But J-Rock ran into some label issues that shelved any of his own official releases, and TDE's first few albums would come from artists they had signed in the meantime.
Tired of living, no health care. I ain't fucking with welfare. I'm strapped down, hell's near. Sherm on every corner like fountains near.
Schoolboy Q was signed in 2009, and his first album was also TDE's first album. And their second came from Ab-Soul, who was signed in 2007 and rounded out the four of these main artists at TDE.
And please don't confuse me with dog, I'm different. Long-term mentality, still remember them sheepwood bitches.
But I think it was TDE's third album, Kendrick Lamar's first album, that really started to change the West Coast sound.
Visions of Martin Luther staring at me. Malcolm X put a hex on my future, someone catch me. I'm falling victim to a revolutionary song.
I say TDE had its own version of West Coast hip-hop because it had its own group of producers.
Digiphonics consists of 4 producers, me, Sounwave, KB's, Willie B, and Dave Free. We was all in the same crew, same area, so it was just like, why not just get on like some Voltron type stuff?
And one of the things they were changing was the tempo, with the songs making more sense, doubling the earlier 80 beats per minute up to something like 160.
Just call it shit high power. Nigga, nothing less than high power. 5-star dishes, food for thought, bitches.
The lead single for Kendrick's debut album was HiiiPower, produced by Sounwave, and the song is usually seen at 81 beats per minute. But I think it makes more sense at twice that, especially compared to other songs from this album.
Fuck that, 8 doobies to the face. Fuck that, 12 bottles in the case, nigga. Fuck that, 2 pills in the half.
The song A.D.H.D was probably Kendrick's biggest at the time, and it's usually seen at 158 beats per minute, but these faster tempos did change the drums a bit, and the snare was now hitting on beat 3. Although at these double tempos, it has the same sounding interval as a 2/4 snare.
Purple label on her back, but that dab is like blue. She take it straight to the head. Then she look at me, she got A.D.H.D.
Since everything was on a computer, Sounwave could rotate through any number of effects, like throwing a low-pass filter over half the drums.
12 bottles in the case, nigga, fuck that. 2 pills in the halfway, nigga, fuck that.
After Kendrick's album, the release rotation at TDE continued, although none of them reached the same level of popularity, besides maybe Schoolboy Q, who released the label's 2 singles at the time.
Life for me is just weed and brew. See the whole flock to you when your name is Q. Am I overfaded? Hell yeah, it's true. Turn a beat on any limit on what I can do.
And his music had the sort of computer drums that were typical of hip-hop, and I think most of TDE in the mid-2010s. Basically a catch-all for a range of heavily processed drum samples.
Life for me is just weed and brew. Weed and brew. Weed and brew. Life for me is just weed and brew.
But when it came back to Kendrick for his second album, that's when TDE really exploded in popularity, and I think established themselves in the 2010s.
Living in California, everybody wanna visit for. They come for.
The lead up to this album started with Kendrick dropping a song with Dr. Dre, and it had some drums like ones coming off of an actual live drum kit, and that would also show up later in Kendrick's career, even if here it just sounded like a Dr. Dre song. Good Kid, Mad City marks when TDE albums go from the bottom to the top of the charts, now selling millions of copies, and Kendrick did this by making his voice stand out from everyone else, with help from the guy that was actually recording his voice.
Man, record and mix the whole shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Hours and hours and hours in the studio. Just going hard, recording.
Mixed by Ali was the main recording engineer for all of these TDE albums, recording the vocals and working them into the rest of the song, and doing it all inside of the computer with access to basically any number of vocal effects.
You know, and that's why I would do the panning effects and make it sound distorted and quirky and pitched, and I wanted you to experience that. I want you to experience that mix.
Okay, now open your mind up and listen to me, Kendrick. I'm in your conscience. If you do not hear me, then you will be history, Kendrick. I know that you're nauseous right now, and I'm hoping to lead you to victory, Kendrick.
These effects can also help emphasize different parts of these songs, like how the chorus, I think, often has layered vocals singing and is overall made especially catchy.
I am a sinner who's probably gonna sin again. Lord, forgive me. Lord, forgive me. Things I don't understand.
Kendrick did make this easier for his mixing engineers by bringing all sorts of different performances across different songs, or even within just one song.
Okay, B.I.H. I look like OJ killing everything from pussy to a motherfucking hit boy bitch. She pussy popping, then I got options like an audible.
This range of expressions also lined up with Kendrick's own preference to rap from all sorts of different perspectives, usually the gang-related stuff around him.
So that's me, that's what I represent. Crips, power rules, the motherfucking cracked out moms, the motherfucking deadbeat daddies, all that shit is instilled in me, you know what I mean? So Kendrick Lamar's confident.
For the revenue, Holly Berry or Hallelujah. Pick your poison, tell me what you doing. Everybody go respect the shooter, but the one in front of the gun lives forever.
And that perspective varied across to even TDE, with Ab-Soul rapping about his third eye, J-Rock on his own time in gangs, but the most success was Schoolboy Q, who was just trying to have a good time.
Oh, luxury, chitty ching ching, could buy anything, cop that, color green.
Oxymoron was Q's third album, and also when he would start selling millions of albums, like Kendrick. And Schoolboy had his own gang-affiliated past, but his music was more of a party.
Yeah. Brassy girls everywhere, titty ass hands in the air, so party over here, shaking for the man of the year, man of the year, man of the.
The star at TDE, though, was still Kendrick, who was carrying the West Coast sound through the mid-2010s.
I've been through a whole lot. Trial, tribulation, but I know God. Satan wanna put me in a bow tie. Pray that the holy water don't go dry, yeah. As I look around me.
At the time, it was a surprise when Kendrick leaned entirely into jazz and funk like this. Debuted on the first single, called I, with a sample of the Isley Brothers.
When I said I want to do this record, I said I wanted to go in with these specific characters and lock in with them for 7 months, to a year. And that was Bilal, George Clinton, Anna Wise, Terrace Martin producer, Sounwave, my in-house producer, and Thundercat and Rocky.
And the chords here can get complicated, but most of the time, I think TDE's music is more of a repeated 2 to 4 chords.
Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Coulter, everybody wanna cut the legs off. King Coulter, black man taking no loss.
These chords are usually played on something atmospheric like strings or a synth, or like on the other big single, Alright, where it sounds like they layered some Pharrell vocals.
My life, painkillers only put me in the twilight. With pretty pussy and Benjamin is the highlight. I tell my mama I love her, but this what I like, Lord knows.
These songs, though, still had complex melodies through the range of instruments that were cycling in and out. And for Kendrick, between TPAB and the somewhat official follow-up, that was usually a lot of jazz piano and saxophone.
I'm sick and tired of being tired. Can't pick a side the Gemini. Private size if we live and I promise mama not to fit nobody.
And these ideas still show up in the rest of TDE, just a bit differently, like the unsettling vibe in Q's music that was still made from the same set of instruments.
I was 13 with my motherfucking heat, y'all nigga call cases trying to take your fucking screen off. I can put your fucking life on the recall.
Schoolboy Q was well maintaining his popularity here through 2016 with his album Blank Face. And you also had J-Rock finally release his second album with 90059.
Big money, big booty bitches, man, that shit gon' be there for me. Big problems, I must admit it, man, that shit gon' be there for me.
TDE was also trying out some new artists like Isaiah Rashad and Lance Skywalker, but Kendrick was still on top of hip-hop here in the mid to late 2010s. And his next album in 2017 went back to more of a programmed sound.
Hey, I remember syrup sandwiches and crime allowances. Finesse a nigga with some counterfeits, but now I'm counting this. Parmesan with my accountant lips, in fact I'm down.
The whole point with 808s was having the kick and bass together in one sample, but you could also just put another kick on top and make things even punchier, and at this point artists did it all the time.
Sit down, be humble, sit down, be humble, bitch.
The difference here sounds like a few 808 hits, and you can also use these two to separate different parts of the song, like on the other one here from Mike Will Made It.
Backbone don't exist, born on side a jellyfish I gauge. See my pedigree, most definitely don't tolerate the front. Shit I been through probably offend you, this is Parla's oldest son.
And of course, TDE still had live basses, especially coming off To Pimp a Butterfly, although it was more rare now, but still came through on songs like Pride, produced by another California artist, Steve Lacy. The album Damn was more of a collection of hits, compared to the thematic through lines of something like Good Kid Mad City. And Kendrick's next album went even further in this direction, making a promotional one for the Black Panther movie.
I made 500,000, I freaked it. I bought an 87 for the weekend. This ain't what you want, this ain't what you want.
As for what these basses are playing, it's usually something that still lines up with the melodies, chords, and spacing, but playing some counter line.
Ready, my click been ready, my shit's been ready, my checks been ready, my shots on full, that's Armageddon. I got pull, I hope y'all ready, my tank on full, you know unleaded, I gotta go get it, I gotta go get it, I gotta go get it.
There were also basses in TDE's music where a synth would just hold out notes over the whole time, like in All the Stars. And the difference between all these basses can be blurry, like looking back in Kendrick's music, where it could be a synth or just a really long 808, and as long as it's held out, what's the difference?
My niggas tryna get it, yeah bitch, yeah bitch. Hit that house, they tell me is you with it, yeah bitch, yeah bitch. Home invasion was persuasive, From 9 to 5, I know it's vacant, yeah bitch.
At this point, Kendrick's run at TDE was pretty much almost over, since he founded a record label, PG Lang, with Dave Free back in 2020, and Kendrick's fifth album, Mr. Morale, would be his last on TDE.
Take off the weird ass jewelry, I'ma take 10 steps, then I'm taking off top off. Take off them fabricate streams and the microwave memes. It's a real world outside. Take off your eyes.
TDE still had Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, and Ab-Soul, as well as a few others, and they were all continuing to release albums. But what really brought back the West Coast in the 2020s was a beef between Kendrick and Drake.
Okay, got a Benjamin and a Jackson all in my house, like I'm Joe K. Hellcat, met his homeboys in them types LA solo K. Everybody wanna be demon till they get chipped by your throwaway.
It took on a regional angle with the West Coast supporting Kendrick, and DJ Mustard even got his first song with Kendrick after years of sending him beats, making the song that pretty much ended the whole thing.
Mustard on the beat, ho, Debo, any rap nigga, he a free throw, man down, call like Amber Lambs, tell him breathe bro, nail a nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up?
I think Kendrick leaving TDE marks a new era for the West Coast as well, since TDE was still popular with artists like SZA and Doechii, but neither was carrying the West Coast sound. And Kendrick, I think, really was the biggest force at the time, since who else was there with Nipsey Hussle tragically killed in 2019?
Fuck rap, I'm a street legend. Block love me with a deep reverence. I was birthed in a C-section. of cops and police presence.
There were other rappers like Vince Staples doing a West Coast sound, but never with that huge mainstream breakthrough.
Bitch, you thirsty, please grab Sprite. My crib's lurking, don't die tonight. I just wanna dance with you, baby.
There were also groups like Odd Future, who were big early in the 2010s, but at this point had pretty much turned into Tyler the Creator doing his own thing.
Anytime I count shit, that's the only time we make up. You exist behind my eyelids, nah, I don't wanna wake up.
So I think this is where we can leave the sound of West Coast hip-hop, with a story that goes all the way back to funk labels, dance parties in LA arenas, and sideshows in the Bay, all with some of the biggest artists of the time. But for now, thanks for listening, and hopefully you can listen to some of these songs a little differently.